Donington Park, race 2 for the Crank Racing Thundersport500 Cup runners. Fascinating race earlier on in the wet. We saw number 40, Rob Aimable, going on to win the race overall. There's number 29, Robert Carver, who was an early race leader. Look at the state of Mick Marshall. You could have at least got the hose out, Mick. After a massive crash down into Craner Curves, Mick has literally just jumped straight back into the levers and has gone out. And to be honest with you, looks like he's been in some sort of mud fight. Number 38, as they now tip into turn 1. Robert Carver it is that has the lead again, just like he did earlier on in race 1. Not quite the same numbers out in this race as there was earlier on. We've got a few people missing. To be honest, I thought Mick Marshall might be missing after that massive crash, but clearly not. There he is in 3rd place, just behind the 2 rookies. Mick Marshall, one of the senior cup riders. Quite an aggressive move down there into the old hairpin for one of the riders in around 5th or 6th place. But there he is then. Out front is the man that managed to get himself through the pack very well in the latter stages of race 1, 333, Sam Palfreman. He was lapping so quick in the closing stages of that race earlier on, and he's now got the race lead. Number 92 there is another rookie, Gary Cutts from Mansfield, and on the back straight we go. Robert Carver retakes the lead, number 29, ahead of 333 Sam Palfreman, with Mick Marshall up in behind. I might have to nickname Mick the mud wrestler from here on in. There he is in 3rd place, trying to look at the drive he's got as well, and he's almost run into the back there of Robert Carver. I don't know if Carver missed a gear or something, but Mick Marshall's through and alongside him, and into 2nd place he goes. So Sam Palfreman it is that leads this one just from Mick Marshall. In 4th place, a bit further back there, we saw 65, that was Jeff Dobson. Jeff, number 65 from Warrington on the JD Racing Honda. But it is 333, oh, Mick Marshall there. I tell you what, despite that being the scene of his accident earlier, he's not afraid, is he? Up the inside of Robert Carver he goes. Dave Bezic, a good start from Dave. Good to see Dave up there as well, another of our senior cup riders from Derby. It's very much his local circuit. Sadly, his good mate Phil Doodie's decided not to come out of retirement to race in this one. And to be honest with you, with all of this mud and rain about, I'm not surprised. Phil Doodie, who pretty much hung up his leathers, I think, last season, always kept quite a pristine motorcycle and pristine leathers. The same cannot be said for Mick Marshall in 2nd place, who is going to need a bath, but a normal bath after this one. I think that is unbelievable. Those pictures that you are seeing there of Mick never giving up, continuing to race out there. 333 it is that leads though. Sam Palfreman, local rider, Nottingham boy, is up there ahead of Mick Marshall then from Rawmarsh. Mick Marshall just losing out on 2nd place again now to Robert Carver. A few people screaming down at Redgate Corner. I don't know who they're cheering on, but the top 3 have got some company. They are being joined there by, I think, Jeff Dobson, number 65 it is. He's closed in on this group. There is Dave Bezic, number 20, just up ahead of Gary Cooper. Down into the old hairpin, there's Chris Satchwell, up ahead of 86, Oliver Dean, and then you saw the race 1 winner, Rob Aimable from Dover. There's 65, Jeff Dobson, again, closing up on this leading group. I still can't get over the muddy leathers there from Mick Marshall. That is incredible. You've had enough time, Mick, to get them washed down, at least. Number 76 is Ed Flower. And again, we see 92, Gary Cutts. These guys just outside the top 20 at the moment. There's your race leader, Sam Palfreman. Don't believe that Sam Palfreman is any relation to Dave or Adam Palfreman, because the surname seems to be spelled slightly differently, but unusual to see the name in racing again. There is Rob Aimable, just putting a move on Steve Waring. Down into turn one, someone's still screaming away for one of their heroes in the top 5 here. Mick Marshall doing a great job here of just holding off those two. None of them can really get a proper shot at closing down Sam Palfreman out front though, although Jeff Dobson now very much a part of this leading group. There he is, up the inside then of Robert Carver. Dave Bezic is also lapping well. In fact, Dave Bezic, just on that last lap, put in the fastest lap of the race. So there he is, number 20. Good to see him up there, just up ahead of Gary Cooper, number 12. Gary from Leeds on the Coops Racing. That's Ryan Cooper's uncle, I believe, Gary Cooper, who was racing in the Golden Era Supersport class with Ryan last year. But this is Sam Palfreman continuing to lead then, the rookie there with the orange vest. Nottingham rider. Mick Marshall is closing in and is after a race win, after what was quite an enormous crash, I think it's fair to say, in race 1 in the wet. He's certainly enjoying himself out there. Number 65, Jeff Dobson, in third. But I'll tell you what, there'll be an eruption on the podium if Mick Marshall stays actually on the podium here. There'll be 1 or 2 people down there who will be wondering what on earth has gone on. KP over in Parc Ferme will be in for a shock of his life when he sees the mud wrestler climbing up onto the top, well, it could be the top step of the podium, because he really is giving Sam Palfreman something to think about here as they go round the old hairpin. Look at the drive he's got there. Coming out of the old hairpin, up around Schwantz Curve, and then into McLean's. I wonder if he's going to be able to show him the front wheel. There's Jeff Dobson still in third, number 29, Rob Carver in 4th place, the Barnsley rider on the CJ Accessories Honda. Then Dave Bezic continuing to lap quickly. Dave Bezic might just run out of laps here. If he'd have started the race off with this sort of speed, he might have been challenging for the win, just like Mick Marshall is here. Mick Marshall got alongside Sam Palfreman there, but has just had to tuck in back behind him. This seems to be where Mick Marshall is so quick. Look at him, out braking Sam Palfreman down into the chicane, and Mick Marshall leads. As they then make their way then onto the start-finish straight. Well, this is from 0 to hero from Mick Marshall, having thrown it down the hill at Craners. There we see, though, Sam Palfreman edging his way back in front again. These two are going to have to be careful, because Jeff Dobson in third is closed up on that last lap. There he is. Still number 29, Robert Carver, in the mix. We see 106 there, Thomas Hudson fighting it out with Matt Poncia. Those guys are just inside the points overall. And there again goes Mick Marshall up the inside, down into the old hairpin. So it seems that Mick Marshall on the brakes down into the final turn and into the old hairpin, the 2 slowest corners on this circuit, really is hot stuff. There's Rob Aimable. He's just being challenged there by number 185, Jamie Hudson from Sheffield. That orange bib destroyed there of Rob Aimable. I'm not sure when that happened. There he is trying to fight back again. Number 85 is Roy Wilson, another of the Raw Marsh racers from the Rare Fast Racing Honda team. His teammate currently fighting for the outright win. 111 is Paul Anion from Neston on the D Banks Unique School Honda. But this is your battle for the outright win in the Crank Racing Thundersport 500 Cup. Across the line we go. 333. Sam Palfreman still has it from Mick Marshall. Then Jeff Dobson. And then number 29, Rob Carver. In the background there, number 20, Dave Bezic. Again, a couple of tenths quicker than this leading group, but it's not quite enough to get him on terms with them. And so Dave Bezic's chances of getting himself on the podium just slipping away here as he tries to close them down. There is number 86, Ollie Dean from Castleford on the OC Graphics Racing Honda. Now then, can Mick get himself out front and stay out front for a couple of corners? Because every time he's managed to get his nose up there, Sam Palfreman has edged his way back into the lead again. He's more. We see race 1 winner there, Rom Aberball, currently just outside the points, believe it or not, ahead of 185 Jamie Hudson, and 85 Roy Wilson. Onto the back straight we go then. Here are the leaders. 333. Now, what's happened to number 29? Rob Carver, has he made a mistake somewhere and fallen back a bit? These are your leaders. 333 Sam Palfreman, 38 Mick Marshall, 65 Jeff Dobson. And it looks like, as the last lap flag goes out, yeah, he's just fallen into the clutches there of Dave Bezic. So Dave Bezic, he might not be able to get himself onto the podium, but he might have a sniff at 4th there. Last lap then. Still a few people cheering away and screaming down at Redgate Corner. I wonder if they're cheering the mud wrestler on in 2nd place, who's looking to get the most unlikely of wins after a massive crash. You'd have never put Mick Marshall fighting for this win after a crash like that. I thought he might be heading to the medical centre, but not so. So he's gone around the old hairpin. That's one of his favourite overtaking haunts. He's not managed it there. He might just have a go on the back straight down into the final chicane as yet. We will wait and see. Again, Rob Aberball here, just up there with Roy Wilson, number 85. Rob Wilson, one of many, many rookies out in this class. Now then, here we go, onto the back straight. It's now or never for Mick Marshall. It's between these two. Jeff Dobson is there to pick up the pieces should it go wrong. But here comes Mick Marshall, number 38. Is he going to be able to pull out of the slipstream here? Can he get it done on the brakes? Oh, he's definitely going to have a go. He had to, didn't he? But can he get it to stick? Oh, he's cut his line off a bit there and lost all momentum. And Mick Marshall here, will he get it done on the line? It's incredibly close. Oh, it's a photo finish there. And 2/100ths of a second. Poor Mick Marshall just loses out. Sam Palfreman does him on the line. 2/100ths of a second in it between Sam Palfreman and Mick Marshall. Brilliant racing then from those two. Jeff Dobson takes 3rd place. Dave Bezic does get 4th in the end, and Rob's Rob Carver of that top 4 finish, and Chris Satchwell there finishing in 6th place. There's the top 3 then. Look at the state of Mick Marshall there. Sam Palfreman the winner from Mick Marshall and Jeff Dobson, and Rob Aberball picking up the Rider of the Day award.
Sam, well, certainly very mixed conditions this weekend, but you've had a proper nice weekend.
Oh, I've enjoyed it. It was brilliant. Like, it has been hard. It was good though. It was.
Yeah, but I mean, you just went for it and you sort of stayed with it all the way through, haven't you?
Yeah, I just tried to stay smooth. Just try to stay smooth down the bike. That was the main thing.
And stay upright.
Yeah.
Have you got anybody to thank?
I'd like to thank my dad a lot because he's helped me out a lot, and also the Ron Haslam Race School. They helped me quite a lot, learning me how to go from motocross to riding this sort of style.
Yeah, Rocket Ron's a good lad, and he loves this class, doesn't he?
Yeah, he loves it. He loves the 500 class. Yeah, he's a good lad.
Well, that's how Leon was brought up originally. So anyway, look, very well done.
All right, thank you. Much appreciated.
See if you can still do it again at Snetterton.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's it from us here at Donington Park. Then join us again at Snetterton for more racing action.